Hi, this is Ryan Holleen from Seaport Spine. I'd like to share some movement tools with you that are especially helpful if you're having back pain and you want to decrease stress on the back throughout daily activities. We're going to start by discussing the unifying concept of these 4 movement tools, which is a neutral spine. And maintaining your spine in neutral position is akin to putting your shoulder in a sling. It gives the back time to rest, to heal up. And we're just going to jump right into each of the 4 movement tools. I'll show you some different scenarios and just think about each movement tool and when you would implement them throughout your daily activities. Start with the golfer's pickup. So golfer's pickup looks like this. It's especially helpful for picking light objects up off the floor. It's the same movement pattern as a single leg deadlift that you might see at the gym. Same exact movement pattern. You're going to lock the spine into its neutral position and flex and extend at the hip like so. This comes into play usually someone will come in and they'll say, you know, I tweaked my back a couple days ago and it's like locked, I can barely move. And when I find out, they said, oh, all I was doing was picking something light up off the floor. And I said, could you show me how you were doing it? And usually what they'll do is they'll kind of show me like a toe touch type pattern or a bending and a twisting. Of course, people know the bending and the twisting is bad, but the toe touch pattern is very bad if you don't have the flexibility or if you're picking light objects up off the floor repeatedly. I don't have the flexibility, so whenever I'm picking something light up off the floor, I'll use the golfer's pickup. If there's a chair or a table nearby, you can put your hand on that for balance if you're having trouble with balance. A couple notes on technique is the back leg, so to speak, this back leg here, keep that knee straight, don't bend the knee, and think about pushing the heel away because the back leg is the counterweight for the upper body and they kind of move in sync as the upper body moves down, the leg moves up, right? So they move in sync like that. Next we'll move on to the shortstop squat. The shortstop squat's a tough one to learn just by watching a video. If you're not moving naturally already with a hip hinge pattern throughout your daily activities, or you think you're not, I would recommend working with your trainer, chiropractor, physical therapist, whoever, and they could show you a proper hip hinge movement pattern. And there's many variations of the hip hinge. The shortstop squat is a highly functional variation that's especially helpful for picking up heavy objects up off the floor. So we'll pretend this bucket is 60, 70, 80 pounds, and it just looks like this. You're gonna do a hip hinge, little hip hinge here. Some people like to think of it as like closing a door with your butt, kind of hitting your butt against the door, shut the door like that. You get to this shortstop squat position like you're playing infield in baseball, and then grab your heavy object, and from here you're simply gonna pull your hips through. And again, I maintain a neutral spine throughout the whole movement, and I am flexing and extending at the hips. So maintaining that neutral spine position. A couple notes. When you're in this shortstop squat position, you don't want to shrug like this. You kind of want to anti-shrug. Depress the shoulder girdle, pull it down, activate the lats, pull down with your pecs here. That's going to also help to lock that neutral spine position into place. And you're going to want your knee about over the midfoot, your body weight over your midfoot as well. So you can do a leaning tower forward onto your toes, and then a leaning tower back onto your heels. And ideally, you want the weight of your body to be resting in the midfoot region. If you're here in this position, you can't reach your object. You can slightly bend your knees. That's fine. Bend the knees from there, and then extend the knees, and then extend the hips. Pull the hips through. So shortstop. I should probably keep my shoulders back a little bit, but shortstop squat. Okay. It's very helpful for picking heavy objects up off the floor. Next, we'll move on to the stop twist. The stop twist is a little tough to explain again through video, but the idea is that painful twisting of the lumbar spine can be especially painful. If you're a rotational sport athlete like a baseball player or a boxer, they're not going to develop their rotational power by twisting at the core like this. They're not going to throw punches like this. Ideally, you want to develop rotational power at the hips, pivoting on the toes, rotating at the shoulder girdle. So in everyday life, this would apply to vacuuming. When you're vacuuming, you're going to want to waltz with the vacuum like this, kind of directing forces through the lumbar spine, through your belly button. It's a whole lot better than kind of using one hand and having a vacuum out to the side like that. The reason being though, even though your core is not twisting, your body still has to fight. Your core muscles still have to fight to prevent your core from collapsing and twisting to one side. And there is no muscle whose primary action is to twist or prevent twisting of the core. So because of that, all core muscles activate, and because of that amount of muscle activation, it creates a compressive load on the spine, which is a crushing load and a crushing stress. So just having a 10-pound vacuum here with one arm doesn't seem like much, but it is, like I said, causing a lot of stress on the low back. So that the solution would be to waltz with it again, because this is a weight on a lever, it's a force multiplier. I don't know the physics behind it, but it kind of makes sense, so I'm sharing it with you. Next, we'll move on to we'll talk a little bit more about this stop twist, just so you have a better idea of what it is. A lot of people in this neighborhood have 3-deckers with glass doors that lead out to their back porch, and they're coming up to the door and it kind of slides this way, and they grab it and kind of pull it this way and then pull it this way. In that type of situation where you have a heavy door, again, you're going to want to direct forces through the lumbar spine, through your core, through your belly button. So get on one side of it, push the door open, and then when you're going to close it, get on the other side and push the door that way. So a pushing, pulling force instead of a twisting force. You can also check your torsional control of your core by doing a few simple exercises. You can do this kind of double elbow tap, like push-up position type thing. And when you do this, you don't want any twisting, or you want to keep the core and the pelvis as level and stable as possible. So if you're here and you're kind of compensating by doing this kind of thing, you know that you have poor torsional control of your core. We also have a great corrective exercise for that. Another video, rolling side plank. What that's going to do is the whole idea of the rolling side plank is to lock your rib cage and your pelvis together and to move them as one unit as you're rotating. So the rolling side plank kind of looks like this here. And again, I'm not twisting at my core or leading with my pelvis like this. They're moving together as one unit like that. And then you go to this side here, right? You can roll like this if you want on this side. And then back to the other side, right? So again, pivoting on the toes, rotating at the hips and the shoulder girdle. Next, we'll move on to a lunge, especially helpful for getting up off the floor, like I am now, maintaining that neutral spine position to get up on and off the floor. You can also use the lunge for laundry, for getting things out of low shelves or cabinets. So doing your laundry, employ the lunge pattern, throw the stuff into the basket, lunge back up. The lunge is probably the easiest one. We save that one for last. So you have the golfer's pickup, the shortstop squat, stop twist, and the lunge. Just 4 great movement tools to help decrease stress on the low back, the back in general throughout the day. Give these a try. We have other videos on a little bit more detailed on each one. Just want to kind of give you a general overview. Feel free to add any questions or comments below. Thank you.